To the outside world, newlyweds Tanya Bushman and Michelle Barabay have it all. But behind closed doors, they've encountered a few snags, especially when it comes to sex. Tanya tries everything she can to spice things up.
I don't really feel like it.
I'll wait inside.
Michelle blames a medical condition for his flagging libido.
Because of his being diabetic, his motivation for sex wasn't strong. Basically, it wasn't there. Tanya was complaining about that he had a problem and she wanted more.
Apparently he had been checked, but he said it was just him. It was nothing related to her.
This lack of intimacy is taking its toll on Tanya's self-esteem.
I think it's normal that women have, some insecurities, especially if your husband doesn't want to touch you.
I think there was troubles in the relationship, closeness, passion. Tanya's a beautiful woman, and I think she was feeling not wanted.
Kids seem increasingly unlikely.
It's kind of hard to get pregnant when you're not intimate. She wanted to have a family. She wanted to have a dog, a family, a home, have children. These were things that were very important to her.
It was clear that Michel wanted to have children in his life as well. We never discussed how many, but it was clear that in his life he also wanted to know the joy of being a parent.
As the couple drifts further apart, Tanya becomes increasingly focused on achieving physical perfection.
3, 2, 1.
We progressed to 5Ks a day, 6 days a week, and started off doing some crunches. Eventually, we built to 300 crunches every 2 days, and we were doing about 30 kilometers a week walking.
Well, Tanya was a person that was, I think her appearance was very, very important to her.
When Michelle is not showing interest in Tanya sexually, it's probably quite invalidating to Tanya. And so one of the reactions that we see from her is this obsessive, almost compulsive working out. And it almost looks like what we see with eating disorders, where somebody who feels that they're lacking control over their life sort of tries to exert some control over what they can, which is their physical body.
Great night for movie night.
Tanya's efforts go beyond exercise.
I remember her saying something about her breasts, that she was, she was flat. But one day she came over for a movie and she sort of took off a shirt and I went, whoa.
She had a breast implant operation. She wanted to look better.
Even though she was a very beautiful woman, she always wanted to be better, I guess, in her own eyes. More beautiful in her own eyes. Michelle never told Tanya that she wasn't beautiful or that she needed to do something to herself. It was Tanya who had this conflict with herself.
You're beautiful.
As Michelle becomes increasingly distant, Tanya relies more and more on her friends.
We went to church together. We took oil painting classes together. We played soccer together. Oh my God, we saw each other more than most married couples. I was filling a void that wasn't filled by her husband.
You're going on in that?
I'm going out dancing with Deb.
Tanya and I took dance lessons together. We took Latin dance together.
She was very, very attractive. She was a beautiful girl, and guys would just come over and say hi and how are you and talk and, can I buy you a drink? And when we did go out and she got attention from other people, she enjoyed it.
Meanwhile, Michelle has swapped his bartending gig for a waiter job at a breakfast restaurant. But at night, he disappears for hours on end.
Sometimes before going to bed at night, I'd see the car garage door opening up and, a car coming out. I'd look at my husband and say, it's 11:30 at night, I wonder where he's going.
She would tell me all the time, like, oh no, he said he's going out for a drive in his car. So I know that there were a lot of secrets like that. Where was he? Where had he been? 4 or 5 hours gone. And it was never accounted for.
Tanya soon has a secret of her own. A man she meets on a beach in Cuba.
She went on vacation with her mother, And that's where she met him, and they hit it off just as friends. And he said that he was an art teacher.
Emilio Vitale also happens to be from Montreal, and when Tanya returns home, she and Deb enroll in his art class.
It was a phenomenal class. It was just absolutely great. He was charming, Tanya was charming, and I guess he just came in at a kind of a weak time in their relationship.
Tanya's crush on her painting instructor quickly develops into a serious infatuation.
Thank you.
She had told me that she was wanting to marry this art teacher, and she said that she was going to have a child with him. She could foresee this.
So I think Tanya was the type of person that needed love, that needed somebody to love her, and I got a feeling that Michel wasn't able to give her that love, so she turned to another man.
It's a secret relationship, but not for long.
They were in a car kissing.
She goes, he's furious, he wants to kill me, he's so mad.
Three years after tying the knot, Tanya Bushman and Michel Barabé's marriage is in trouble. Their sex life is in shambles, and Tanya has developed a crush on a handsome artist. But this budding romance is about to be exposed.
Thanks.
They went out for lunch, our teacher and herself. After lunch, they were in the car together.
They were in a car kissing.
By chance, Michel pulls into the same parking lot on his way to the video store and ends up seeing the whole thing.
It's my husband.
What the hell, man? You need to come down. You need to come down.
Don't you dare touch me! Don't you dare! Get out of here! Get out of here! Hey, I'm talking to you, huh? How do you think it makes me feel when I see you kissing another man? Huh? What do you think?
I feel horrible. What else can I do?
Oh, I don't know. How about not putting your tongue down another man's throat, huh?
Oh.
How's that?
When they got home, obviously Michelle was rightfully angry. She ran in my door crying and said that it's over. And I said to her, you know, you're really lucky, because I'm telling you, if it was me, I would have punched you in the, you know, probably in the face. It was my wife, you know, or my husband.
I know. He's furious.
I got the impression that she didn't want to end it, but if something else ended it, then that was okay.
Marriage is a unique bond because it is a bond that we choose to make. It's not a bond that's formed by heredity or blood or anything like that. And what the bonding glue is trust. And so when Tanya violates that trust by going outside of the marriage for her physical affection, she's undermining the very glue that holds her relationship with Michel together.
Part of what's going on for Michel after catching this cheating scenario is now he's going to be walking around wondering what he hadn't seen, what else she's been doing. And this could really put him in a tailspin.
Hey!
For now, Michel takes comfort in the fact that Tanya's lover has been scared off.
Get out of here! Get out of here!
So that was the end of that. The art teacher didn't want to have anything more to do with that sort of situation.
Tanya returns home to Michel, who agrees to take her back.
They talked and, you know, worked things out, I guess. She still loved Michel. Whether she was in love with him, I mean, that's questionable, but if it would work out and she could have her life with him, then yeah, she was willing to try. That's why she went to counseling. She was willing to work it out.
I think it's a terrific sign that Tanya and Michel have decided to go see a counselor. And as long as they can come up with some strategies and rules that their relationship can follow, trust can be rebuilt slowly, and there is a chance for them to survive as a couple.
From my perspective, the odds aren't great that Tanya and Michelle are going to be able to recover the trust that they once had after Tanya's infidelity. However, one of the things that we know about couples counseling is that both members of the couple have to be there with the same intention. And what can happen sometimes, actually oftentimes, one member of the couple is truly there trying to put the relationship back together, while the other member may be there really to sort of help their spouse come to grips with the fact that they're no longer desiring that.
For this couple, counseling doesn't help.
I've apologized like a million times.
At one point, she got so upset that she stormed out of the room, which is really not like her, at least not the character that I know. I believe that was one of the last sessions of counseling. I don't think she really felt that there was much hope.
Are you kidding?
What?
Anything I do is not good enough for you.
You're not even trying.
Excuse me, I'm not even trying.
Tanya and I were on the phone, and I said, hey, how's it going, and this and that, and she says, oh, not good, and I could hear in her voice a little bit of quivering.
What?
You know, you just got up and
You're
you
just
left.
accusing me of everything. I'm apologizing. You know what? Here, you win.
What?
Here, there. We're done. You happy now?
She just told me that she threw back the ring, and it was very, she was upset.
After months of fighting, Michelle and Tanya decide that what they really need to save their marriage is a fresh start in a new city, Calgary, Western Canada, over 2,000 miles away.
She was willing to do anything to make this marriage work. She didn't want it to end. So she figured a new life, she would be near her family. Also, Michelle had a friend who lived in Calgary, one of his best friends. So they were going back to roots, they were going back to family.
I think they thought, okay, it's gonna work better.
They put their house up for sale. But just 4 weeks later, Tanya is having doubts.
The biggest struggle of the whole decision was, first of all, staying with Michelle, because obviously the relationship wasn't idealistic, and leaving the clients that she had here in Montreal, having to start over.
It's a tough decision, one they won't have a chance to make.
This is going to be a very upsetting bit of news for Michelle, because he is planning their future. He thinks he's away from their problems and they're going to be moving forward, and he's feeling this huge sense of hope.
It looks to me like when Michelle caught Tanya and her art instructor in the car kissing, it was sort of a wake-up call, where Michelle thought that he actually still did have time to put the marriage back together. And so now that he's going to find out that actually he was out of time, and that Tanya either had already checked out or had since then checked out of the marriage, it's gonna be devastating.
What's going on?
We need to talk.
What's up?
I'm not going.
He was freaking out and crying, and that he'd never had such pain in his life, except for when he found his father dead, and that this brought up those sorts of pains and emotions.
I thought about this for a long time, and this is not easy for me to say, Michelle.
Come on.
And the next 2 nights, they were up and crying and arguing and fighting, so she hadn't slept for 2 nights. She came to me and she said, Deb, you know, I'm absolutely exhausted. I haven't slept. Michelle and I spoke all last night. But last night he told me that it's okay, that I can stay in Montreal. He's going to go to Calgary, that he's accepted it, and that is okay.
So, did you tell him yet about Jerry?
No, I can't do that. I don't want to hurt him like that.
The next morning, Tanya has her usual lineup of clients.
Tanya always confirmed her appointments for the next day. Now, this client was called the night before, saying, okay, your appointment's still good. Yes, no problem, I'll be there. She went there around 8:30, 8:45. She knocked at the door. and there was no answer.
A little later, Deb stops by.
I went to her house to pick up her coffee tables and a couple of other things. Showed up at the door, there was no answer. All the blinds were closed.
Tanya?
She never has her salon blinds closed. Usually the front of the house, everything's always open. So I kept knocking, ringing the doorbell. And as I was standing there, I stepped back from the door, I just felt something go through me. It was like, I didn't see anything, but it was like, you know, when you see these black fogs or black mist that like go through someone, it felt like that. I couldn't breathe. It felt cold.
Michelle, something's wrong. Tanya's not answering.
I called him, but of course there was no answer.
Michelle can't get to the phone because he's at the hospital. Michelle Barabé's wife, Tanya Bushman, has died in an apparent suicide by hanging. But investigators have reason to believe there's foul play involved. Friends and family don't realize that an autopsy had been conducted before the cremation. And it revealed more than just a strangulation injury.
It starts to come out, the mutterings, that it was not a suicide, that it's being treated now by the Montreal Homicide Squad as a suspicious death.
Tanya never talked about suicide. She was never depressed. She never said she did not like her life.
And she had a lot of injuries. She had internal injury. She had kidney injuries, stomach injury. She had bruises all over her legs, her body, her stomach. Somebody hit her in those areas.
The pooling of blood, known as lividity, shows that when Tanya died, she was not hanging from a rope.
Her lividity, the marks where she was positioned, the way she was positioned when she died, she was on her knees.
A close look at the crime scene confirms investigators' suspicions.
So we got warrants to search the house. As soon as I got in, then I noticed that rope. It was tied to a wooden post upstairs to downstairs. And when you pull it straight, it's 48 inches from the ground.
The rope was too long for Tanya to kill herself with it.
Tanya could not have been suspended in the air. Her legs would have touched the ground, so it would have been impossible for her to be hanging like that.
Could this be murder, poorly disguised as suicide? Police turned to Michelle for answers.
This is his story, and also confirmed by co-workers that on the 20th of November, he woke up at 7:15. He said Tanya was sleeping, gave her a kiss goodbye, went downstairs, got dressed, and then left the house. Went right to work. He went to the dentist at 3 o'clock. He went to pick up some food right after, which was about 5 o'clock, 5:30. He arrived home. He saw her hung.
Tanya! Tanya!
He cut her down. He grabbed her, went to the hospital.
Since police know Tanya could not have committed suicide, they know Michelle is lying. He's now the prime suspect in her murder. They are eager to know the contents of the secret note that Michelle put in the urn.
So I went to get a warrant, and I opened the urn itself. I was looking for a smoking gun.
Instead, he finds a love letter.
I know it was a love note that said, Tanya, for you, I will always love you. You're the woman of my life, and I will always have love for you.
It's unthinkable that Michel could have done this. A, fight with his wife, and B, carry out that final act. So, for me, it's crystal clear. It can't be Michel, so it has to be someone else.
Investigators dig deep, looking for any other possible suspects.
I met with all the witnesses during my investigation. So I met with Nadine, her best friend. I met with Debbie, her best friend. We had statement taken down. Maybe a week to 2 weeks later on, I received a call from Jerry telling me that he was Tanya's new boyfriend. And that kind of shocked me. I said, oh, okay.
There is no evidence that Tanya's boyfriend is involved in her death. Could it have been an intruder?
He goes to work at 7:30. Some other guy comes in from 7:30 to kill her and blame it on him. It made no sense at all.
There is no evidence to suggest the presence of anyone else in the home.
It was basically suicide or murder by Michelle. There was no other way.
Police need hard evidence to support their case, and that's just what forensic analysis starts to reveal.
Now, Michelle said he never went upstairs to try to untie the knots. Now, on those knots upstairs, we found DNA. We had Michelle's DNA and we have Tanya's DNA. When you fight with somebody and you hit her and you scratch her, you have a transfer of DNA on your hands. So basically, he had Tanya's DNA in her hands already. So when he hung her and he tied the rope on the top, he tied it, and her DNA and his DNA were then upstairs.
If it really was a suicide, Michelle's reaction is hard to explain.
He didn't call 911, and he didn't remove the noose from her neck, so it was still embedded in her skin. The doctor from the Emerge said in 22 years of being an emergency room doctor, he's never seen that.
Please!
He said that it would be the fastest way to save her. Well, I think the fastest way to save her would be to cut the rope off.
When it's the second time you find a person who's that important in your life in the same position, I can't believe somebody would react in a normal way.
Come on, can we just talk about this, please? Let's just figure it out, huh?
The traces of DNA convince the police that Michelle was responsible for Tanya's death, and the motive seems obvious.
I can't do this anymore.
What do you mean you can't do this anymore? What does that even mean?
I think she told them she had another boyfriend, and she was leaving him for another man. And that's what he couldn't accept.
She wasn't afraid of Michelle because he loved her. He loved her too much. She says, he's never gonna hurt me. He loves me too much. I think that's the problem. He loved her so much that nobody else could have her.
There's someone else. Sorry.
Talking about there's someone else. There's someone else? What does that mean?
They got into an argument. They got into a fight, physical fight.
What's the matter with you? Hey, what the hell's wrong with you? Who is he? Who is he?
On his face, he had injuries. Somebody had scratched him. She was still a pretty strong woman. So that's why he gets hit. She hits him. He hits her. I think it happens upstairs on the second balcony.
Who is he? Huh? Who is he?
I believe he threw her down the stairs. She got her head knocked, and now she's unconscious. With all the injuries she has internal injury. She has a huge bump, 4 inches on her head and the back. Now he's saying, oh my God, I killed her.
You all right?
She probably would look like somebody that's dead and not breathing, but we know that she was still alive at that point. And I think he tried to fake it to say that I'm gonna go in jail for the rest of my life. I have to do something here. So he staged a hanging. He took the rope, tied it upstairs, went downstairs, tied it around her neck super tight. He tied her upstairs, tried to pull her up, couldn't pull her up enough. Only put her up 48 inches, tied it, and then said, now I'm gonna go leave it's 8 o'clock, I'm gonna go leave for work.
Tanya is hung by a knotted rope that she could never have tied herself.
The knots that were made were so tight that Tanya would never have been able to make a second knot after the first. It was so tight that the air would have been cut off.
On May 29, 2003, Michel is charged with the murder of his wife, Tanya.
He swore it was not him.
I thought for a long time Michel could not do it, but when I saw him in court and I saw he was so disconnected, I guess that's what made me decide, oh my God, it's actually possible. he actually killed her.
She was my soulmate. She was my best friend. You know, I remember sitting, waiting to be interviewed by the police, and this was at the police station, and I remember thinking, oh my God, I've got to call Tanya. Oh, no, kind of can't call her. That went on for like at least a year. Got to call Tanya, and then I realized that no, you know, she's not there anymore.